Good morning, viewers. Thank you so much for joining me for today's training. And making this presentation, my name is Benson now. So today we are discussing the 4 armyworm. Today we are winning the battle against the 4 armyworm. So what is the 4 armyworm? So the 4 armyworm is a very destructive pest of the maize crop. And not only does this pest affect the maize crop, but it also affects 80 other different kinds of plant species. But among these 80 other kinds of plant species, maize is the most affected. And it happens that maize is our staple crop. And this is a crop that most of us Zambians are depending on for food. So this pest was first reported in the year 2016 here in Zambia and many other African countries, and since then the pest has spread and causing a lot of losses in terms of yield and also in terms of the quality of the harvested product. So effective management of this pest requires an integrated approach. So that is to say, we need to incorporate quite a number of strategies in order for us to effectively manage this pest. So why should we care? Why should we discuss this pest today? There are quite a number of reasons, and just to mention a few. First and foremost, this pest causes a lot of losses in terms of yield. The losses can range from 20% to around 50%, even worse in severe cases. So these losses, these yield losses, lead to food insecurity. So the country will not be food secure. And notably, there's also reduced incomes for most of our small-scale farmers. Since most of our small-scale farmers like to grow this crop, there is reduced incomes for them. Then we have the issue of environmental concerns. Continued use of insecticides. There's high use of insecticides in order to control this pest, and this causes environmental damage, or rather the damage to the environment. So we also have effects in terms of market and also trade. So the quality of the grain, the low quality of the grain affects the agricultural value chain. For example, if the quality of your harvested product is low, you might not be able to export this crop to other countries that are very strict in terms of what they bring in their country. Yes. So additionally, the damage or the impact of the 4 armyworm may also be attributed, or rather, we may also mention of attacks by the Aspergillus species, which causes aflatoxins. So if your maize crop is severely affected by the 4 armyworm, this predisposes your crop to attack by aflatoxin causing funguses such as the Aspergillus species. So before we delve into the control strategies, we're first going to look at the life cycle of the 4 armyworm. And the life cycle starts with the moth. So this is when the adult, the female, lays eggs on the underneath of the leaves. And from the moth, we proceed to the egg. So the eggs are mostly laid on the underneath of the leaves, and even on top in severe cases. And these eggs mostly they are laid in batches of hundreds to 200, and they are mostly greenish in color or cream. Or they may be whitish. So the eggs will hatch within 3 to 5 days. The eggs will hatch within 3 to 5 days under normal circumstances. Then we proceed to the larvae, and these are small caterpillars, greenish in color, And larger caterpillars may vary in color from greenish to blackish, brownish, or reddish. So the larval stage goes through stages called instars, and these are six. There are 6 stages called instars. And the first stages, the first instar and the second instar, this is the stage that causes the first signs that we see on our crop, which is the window panes. Yes, so this stage takes within 14 to 22 days. They mature within 14 to 22 days. From there, we proceed to the pupa. So after the caterpillar matures, it drops to the soil and pupates. So these ones in color, they are brownish or reddish brown, and they have a shiny appearance, and mostly they are hard to see. So this stage may take 20 to 30 days in colder areas, and in warm areas they take 8 to 9 days. And we have our moth that is the adult stage. So these are dark gray in color, and they take around 7 to 21 days. Yes, so now how do we identify fall armyworm damage? The young larvae appear greenish, that's the neonate, the first and second instar. The bigger larvae appear orange to green, and also black or brown. What are some of these distinctive features of the fall armyworm? So first and foremost, they have dark heads. The fall armyworms have dark heads. They also have an inverted Y shape on the head. And on the second last body segments, they have 4 spots forming a square. They have 4 spots forming a square. And on the last segments, there are 4 raised spots forming a trapezium. We have these 4 here forming a trapezium on the last body segment. Then on the second last body segment, we have these 4 here also forming a square. So these are the distinctive features of the fall armyworm. So when you're scouting for fall armyworms, you must look out for these features. So in terms of the appearance, you'll notice that the skin appears smooth to the touch. The skin appears smooth to the touch, and they have pale yellow stripes on the side, as we can see there. They have pale yellow stripes on the side, and on the back, they have a dark stripes that runs down the center. They have a dark stripe that runs down the center. So there are also other caterpillars that may be mistaken for the fall armyworm. So we have the spotted stem borer, we have the African armyworm, we have the stalk borer, we have the cotton bollworm, and the African maize stalk borer. And some of these may actually have the inverted Y shape on the head. But for you to effectively identify the fall armyworm, you must also take into account other identifying features, such as the 4 dots on the last and second body last segment. So how do we identify now the damage that is caused by the fall armyworm? How do we identify the damage caused by the fall armyworm? So the first signs that we are going to see, these are what we call window panes. So these are semi-transparent or rather transparent patches on the leaf surface, as we can see there. So this is the first sign. This is caused by the neonates or the small larvae. They are feeding superficially on the leaves. Then this is an egg mass, and as you can see, it's also covered in whitish stuff or rather scales. So this is how the eggs appear. So this is a typical sign that what we are dealing with here are fall armyworms. This is a typical sign that we are dealing with fall armyworms. So this is the first sign that you are going to see on your maize crop, on the leaves. Then secondly, you're also going to observe large holes or perforations, and these are caused by the larger caterpillars. So we can see there are these large perforations, and that is our armyworm there, feeding on the leaves of the maize crop. Then besides these large perforations, you're also going to observe some materials that appear like sawdust. So this is called frass. This sawdust-like material is called frass. So this is a typical sign that we are dealing with for armyworm. So this is the frass here. You can also see it there. So when it dries, it appears like sawdust. Then the armyworm will also proceed and affect our cobs. So that is the armyworm there on the maize cob. So it is important to note that this is a problem because you cannot sell this as fresh maize, obviously, because it doesn't look good. No one would want to buy this as fresh maize. So this is a challenge. So there's also damage on mature maize. So this is the armyworm tunneling on the cob. So now how do we monitor the armyworm in our field? First and foremost, we monitor by scouting and also by use of pheromone traps. So starting with scouting, this is where you randomly select 5 plots, and out of the 5 plots you sample out, let's say, 10 plants, and you check these plants for the presence of the armyworm. So how do you sample? There are many methods that you can use. You have the zigzag, or you have you can form like the W. So we have our plots there selected. We have our selected plots there. So you can randomly select 10 plants in these small plots. Then check for the presence of the armyworm. So if the presence is severe, if you have a lot of armyworm, now that's where you have to decide the control measures to take into account. So this is very important. Scouting is very important, and farmers, if possible, you have to make sure that you scout every after maybe 4 days, 3 or 4 days. You check for the presence of armyworms in your maize field. So when scouting, let us always make sure that we check the funnel or the hole of the maize crop, because that's where they like to hide. So the armyworm likes to hide in the funnel because this is the part that provides protection for them, and secondly, it also is, that's why they also find fresh maize growing. This is the growing tip of the maize. So what is growing here is fresh and tender, and that's what they enjoy. So let us always make sure that we check the funnel of the maize. Yeah, so pheromone traps. So these attracts male insects. So this is another way that you can use to scout, to monitor the presence of armyworms in your field. You can use pheromone traps. So these ones attract the male insects. So what do? You can just make a simple setup like we have there and hang it on the trap or pop about 1 to 1.5 meters from the ground. So what we have inside this is the pheromone trap, and what we have inside here is a pheromone. So it's a sex pheromone, so it can only attract the males, and that is our male for armyworm, the adult. So now this is confirmation. So this is what we should be able to see when we open this. These are the 4 armyworm. So This is another method that you can use to monitor for armyworms in your field. So what are some of the management or practices that you can put into consideration in managing the fall armyworms at your farm? First and foremost, you have to make sure that you select the right seed, use certified seed. Try by all means to use certified seed. Recycled seed mostly has poor performance, and if you are hit by this pest, you are likely to suffer losses because of the poor performance of your seed. Then also have to improve plant health. So practices that enhance plant health makes crops more resilient to pests. So you have to make sure you improve plant health. And how do you do this? By making sure that you do all the management practices. That is the use of fertilizer, use the correct fertilizer, make sure you are weeding, take into account all the management practices to ensure that your plants are healthy. And the other activity that you can do, you also have to take into consideration the timing of planting. Do not plant late. Avoid planting very late, because if you plant very late, your field will be the only one in this area with small plants that are tender, and that's what fall armyworms like. And at that point, the presence of fall armyworms in that area will be much, much higher. So the chances of your crop surviving will be very low. So let us ensure that we avoid planting very late. Then also practicing crop rotation, where we rotate our fields with maybe legumes. This is also another measure that we can take into consideration in managing this pest. So to continue taking action, what are some of the things that we can practice on our farms? For those people with smaller fields or small farms, you can actually also pick or crush the eggs. They are very easy to identify. These are egg mass, that's our egg mass there. So you can also be crushing these eggs. You pick them and you crush them. The other technology that you can put into consideration is the push-pull technology. So this is why we are intercropping maize with a repellent such as Desmodium. So for farmers who have Desmodium, who can get hold of Desmodium, this is another strategy that you can use. So you can plant Desmodium between the rows. You can plant Desmodium between the rows, and on the periphery, on the sides of the farm, you can plant an attractive grass such as napier grass or brachiaria around the fields or the border. So this will be the pull factor. So the Desmodium will repel the fall armyworm inside your field, and the grass such as napier will attract the fall armyworm. So this is a very good strategy that you can also employ. And when you plant Desmodium, Desmodium is a legume, so it will definitely also add some nitrogen to your soil. It will actually improve the structure of your soil, and it will also act as a cover crop. It will also act as a cover crop, so you won't have to worry about issues such as erosion. Plant diversity. So maintaining good plant diversity helps control fall armyworm by disrupting the pest's life cycle and also repelling moths from the main crop and attracting natural predators and parasitoids. So this one will also help you by attracting natural predators and parasitoids. Actually, one of the reasons why fall armyworm is a challenge here in Africa is because we do not really have a very active natural enemy or parasitoids to actually control this pest compared to the other countries where it originated from. So they are less hit by the fall armyworm because of the natural predators and also the parasitoids. Biological control. So the use of biological control is the use of biological agents to control the 4 armyworms. So one of the things that you can do in this regard is by recycling pathogens. So what we have here is a 4 armyworm that was affected by a virus. This is a 4 armyworm that was affected by a virus. So what you can do, you can actually process this into a liquid suspension by grinding and sieving with water and spraying it or pouring it into the funnels of the maize crop. So this is another strategy that you can employ. It is not very quick compared to chemical strategies or chemical methods, but it does work. So in your field as you are scouting, you observe dead 4 armyworms that appear to have been affected by a virus, fungus, or bacteria. So you can get use of those. Then examples of biocontrol agents, we have, so these are just some of the biocontrol agents. We have metarhizium, we have Juveria, we have Numrai, and we have some viral agents such as Podoptera frugipeda multipolyhedrous. So this is the one that we have here. What we have here was affected by Spodoptera frugipeda multipolyhedrous. So you can actually grind this and spray it in your field. So this is another strategy that you can employ on your farm. We also have bacterial agents such as BT. Some of us have heard of BT, so this is also another biocontrol agent. Okay. So natural enemies. So for natural enemies, we have predators such as ladybird beetles, lacewings, earwigs, ground beetles, and ants. Then also have parasitoids like trichogramma. We have Iphossoma lathyma, Cortesia, Isipe. All these are some of those parasitoids that can be used to control the 4 armyworm. So we are going now into the chemical control methods. So the chemical control is the last resort. Let us take note that chemical control is the last resort. So if you are controlling 4 armyworm, or not just 4 armyworm, or any other pest, the use of chemicals, that should be or must be our last resort for many reasons. So chemicals are harmful to our environment. Chemicals are also not just harmful to our environment, but they are also harmful to our health. So the use of chemicals is our last resort. So we only resort to chemicals when the infestation is too high. The infestation is too high and we need something that can work in the quickest possible time. So some of the chemical active ingredients that you can actually use to control the 4 armyworm. We have forbendiamide, which is a diamide. We have chlorantraniliprole, which is also another diamide. We have emamectin benzoate, which is an ivermectin, and this is actually quite popular and effective. We have lambda cyhalothrin, which is a pyrethroid, very effective insect active ingredient. We have the deltamethrin, this is a pyrethroid. We have neem. Neem is as a diractin, and it's a plant extract. We also have indoxacar, which is an oxadiazine. So additionally, we have profenophos, we have chlorpyrifos, we have carbosulfan, we have methomyl, which is a carbamate. We also have this growth regulator called lufenuron. So this is also very important, especially when it comes to control the 4 armyworm. And we have a good combination. For example, this is one of the examples where with insecticides that have lufenuron and emamectin benzoate, this is a good combination because it won't only work on the larvae, but it will also control the eggs, the growth of the eggs, or the eggs, the hatching of the eggs. So this will deal with both the egg and also the larvae. So now how do we use these chemicals? What's the best way of using these chemicals? It is important to note that you have to rotate these chemicals. So don't just rely on one active ingredient, but you can pick two, preferably coming from different insecticide classes with different modes of action. So you alternate. You have to alternate. And why are we alternating? We are alternating to prevent development of resistance. So we are alternating to prevent the insects developing resistance. So what are some of the best practices when using these insecticides? So first and foremost, we have to wear protective clothing, this includes overalls, goggles, gloves, boots, and a mask. And we do this to protect ourselves. Secondly, as we mentioned earlier, you have to alternate these insecticides to prevent resistance. And when spraying the Armyworm, it is very important that you spray in the funnel. Because that's where they like to hide. So mostly they like to hide inside there because that's the part that offers them protection. That's the part that also provides them with the tender leaves that they love to eat. So, and spraying, it is preferred that you spray early in the morning or late evening when the larvae are active. So you have to spray in the morning or late evening, because during the day they're mostly hiding inside the funnel, and when spraying, this can also prove to be a challenge. Some of them may not get in contact with the chemical. Then most of us farmers like to mix products. We discourage the mixing of products. Products or other active ingredients can only be mixed if the label says you can mix. Otherwise, let us avoid mixing, because if we just mix without checking with an agronomist or without checking on the label, we may end up compromising the efficacy of one of those chemicals, or both chemicals can actually be compromised. So let us avoid mixing without actually consulting. Let us avoid mixing without reading the label and checking if that particular insecticide actually allows or can be mixed with other chemicals. So on the best practices, again, we also have to make sure that we use the right active ingredients to control these pests. There are times when we just go to the market and say, I want an insecticide, and they just recommend, because we said I want an insecticide, they'll just recommend anything, and not anything works for Armyworm. So you can get one of these active ingredients that we have mentioned in this training, or you can consult an agronomist. So let us make sure that we use the right active ingredients, because insecticides are costly. So if we buy an insecticide that doesn't work, that's a loss on our end. And when we notice that it's not working, obviously we'll constantly keep spraying it, hoping that it will work. But in the process, we're just actually adding more insecticides to the environment, and it's harming the environment, it's destroying the ecosystem, the natural enemies, the pollinators are getting affected. So let us make sure that we use the right active ingredients. The labels, let us always check the labels. Let us follow the instructions on the labels, such as use of the correct dosage. Let us also follow the safety instructions. Let us check the PHI. How long should you consume a product, or how long should you consume that maize after spraying? Let us take into account of this. The first aid instructions. What happens if you have accidentally swallowed that insecticide? Or what happens if that insecticide has spilled on your skin? What should you do? So let us check all this information. Let us check all the labels to ensure the best use of these chemicals. Thank you so much for joining me for this training. We hope that we have picked one or two things from what we have shared on today's training. We hope for the best as we start this farming season. We were waiting for the rains. Hopefully we're going to have some good rains. All the best, dear farmers. Thank you so much for joining me. My name is Benson now.